Hey traders, welcome back to Valareso Capital. On today's video, we're gonna go through the market update as we usually do, and we're gonna take a look at some of the levels that I'm gonna be watching. The purpose of this video, as always, is to create a high probability roadmap for next week. So if you're interested in that information, make sure to stick all the way through the end of this video. Before we continue with the video, guys, remember that this information is for educational purposes only, is based just on my personal opinion, and is not financial advice. And if at any point, guys, you find any of this information valuable, make sure to hit that subscribe button. That way more people can find this information and use it as an asset for their trading. Now I'm filming this video a little bit late tonight. I was pretty busy during the weekend, but I just want to give my thoughts about the price action that we saw this week, and also what can we expect going into next week. So let's start here. We usually always take a look at the SPX. I want to take a look at the ES, which is just the S&P 500 future contracts chart. And one of the reasons that I always like looking at this chart is because this trades 24/7, so we tend to have some really nice structure when it comes to price action. So just keeping it pretty simple, I want to make this a really quick and easy video, guys. So what is going to be the expectation for next week? Let's remember what we were talking on last week's video, and we were basically we were talking about the path of least resistance continue to be to the downside last week. Of course, we had a lot of new information coming into the market this past week. We had Powell early on the week, and then we have the non-farm payrolls at the end of the week, and you can see right here the price action that we had on Friday. Now it's pretty important to understand that the information that I'm sharing on these videos is focused just on the indexes. We tend to see a lot of price action in stocks, but my main focus is and will continue to be just trading the main indexes. So one of the things that I'm seeing right here is that the SPX the ES is basically back at a very important level of resistance. And we can see right here that this level was previous support. And now the question is if this level is going to act as an important level of resistance. When we usually get these kind of tests in which we break from a level and then we come back and retest the level, my first instinct is to always see this level as an inflection point, meaning that I'm always going to be looking for this level to act as a resistance level when we're seeing this kind of price action. So right now that we're coming back and testing this level, my expectation is that at least we're going to see a slight pullback. Are we going to see a hard rejection? We of course don't know that, but I will say that the highest probability setup going into next week is that we're probably going to see a little bit of a rejection here. And now the question is, how deep is that going to be? That of course we don't know. But if we happen to lose the moving averages, right, if we happen to lose this 21 exponential, this 8 exponential, then of course that is going to open the door for a continuation to the downside. If we happen to see a rejection from this level and we happen to hold the moving averages, then perhaps we're going to see a breakout above this 50 daily moving average that we have right here on the charts. So that's kind of the scenario that I'm going to be watching for next week. Now, you can see right here that I do have an anchor VWAP zone. A lot of people talk a lot about anchor VWAP. I don't like to use anchor VWAP just as a single line. I have used it in the past like that, but I have found way more success using it as a zone. So basically, the way that you use it as a zone is pretty simple. And basically you just go into the anchor VWAP indicator, which is this one right here. And then you're just gonna use the way that I do it, I use the percentage. And then I just use a percentage that fits the instrument that I'm trading. And then of course the purpose is gonna be to capture the weak action that we had on the price action of the chart that you're watching. So right now we are back into this anchor VWAP zone. And now the question is if this zone is going to act as resistance. As I mentioned before, my first instinct is to say yes, it's going to act as resistance because it has acted as resistance in the past. So I'm just expecting that to be the case right now. If we happen to break above it, then of course the thesis will change, and then we'll have a most likely resolve to the upside. But for now, I'm gonna think that this is gonna act as resistance, since we have a couple of levels that we already mentioned, which is the 50 daily moving average, we have the anchor VWAP zone, and then of course we have this structure zone that we already mentioned at the beginning of the video. So basically, just in summary, I'm looking for some resistance here in the ES, and we of course can take a look at some of the other indexes. Let's just take a quick look at the NDX. This is going to be the NQ futures, which is the Nasdaq 100 mini futures, and basically we have the same thing, right? You can come right here, you can basically see that I have an alert here. You can see that right now we have this very important level of resistance, and we have basically the same levels, right? We have that horizontal level, we have the 50 daily moving average, and then we have this anchor VWAP zone. So my first reaction to this is going to be, okay, there is a high probability that this level is going to act as resistance. It's going to act as super hard resistance. That's the part that we of course don't know, and that's usually where the moving averages come into play. If we happen to hold these moving averages, then most likely we will just continue to the upside, and of course if we just break above this, then that's going to be pretty bullish. But of course, I will expect sellers to defend this level, and then perhaps we're going to see a slight back and filling. If we happen to lose the moving averages, then that's going to be a different story, and we will have to adapt going into next week. So basically, just that's what I want to cover in this video. Just looking at the ES, just looking at the NQ. Those are the main indexes that I watch, and my expectation is that these indexes are going to act as resistance going into next week. And then of course, if you're planning to play individual stock setups, just keep in mind that the main indexes are at possible resistance level, and usually we tend to have this rule that 80%, 70 to 80% of the stocks tend to follow the general market. That sometimes is true, sometimes it's not, so just keep that in mind. So once again, guys, thank you so much for your time. I just want to keep this one really short and sweet. Have an amazing Sunday, and I will see you on future videos. Take care, and bye bye.